What if the reason your life hasn't changed yet has nothing to do with your skills, your intelligence, or your luck, but everything to do with your state? Right now, your emotions, posture, focus, and energy are quietly shaping every decision you make. Tony Robbins says, "Change your state, change your life." In this video, you'll discover why the moment you control your state, you take back control of your future, your confidence, your results, your happiness. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may completely change how you respond to fear, stress, and setbacks forever. Lesson 1. Your state determines your decisions. The foundational premise of Tony Robbins' philosophy is that the human experience is not dictated by external events, but by the internal state we occupy at any given moment. This state is a colorful tapestry woven from our physiological posture, our biochemical balance, and our mental focus. Most people operate under the illusion that they are rational actors making objective decisions based on logic and data. However, Robbins argues that logic is a distant second to emotion. If you are in a state of scarcity, feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, or defensive, your brain's prefrontal cortex essentially takes a backseat to the amygdala. In this survival mode, your range of perceived options narrows significantly. You don't see opportunities, you see threats. Consequently, even the most brilliant CEO or talented athlete will make catastrophic errors if they attempt to solve a problem from a disempowered state. The decision isn't a reflection of their ability, but a direct byproduct of their current emotional frequency. Consider the difference between a decision made from a state of certainty versus one made from a state of hesitation. When you are certain, your brain accesses its full reservoir of resources, memories, and creative potential. You move toward a goal with a sense of inevitability. Conversely, when you are in a state of fear, you engage in self-sabotage, not because you want to fail, but because your state is literally filtering out the pathways to success. Robbins often uses the analogy of a radio. If you are tuned to a static-filled, low-frequency station, you cannot hear the symphony no matter how hard you listen. To change the music of your life, you must first change the frequency of your state. This realization shifts the burden of success from working harder to managing yourself better. It suggests that the most important work you do every day is not on your business or your relationships, but on the internal climate you carry into those arenas. Furthermore, understanding that state precedes decision-making provides a powerful tool for emotional intelligence. When we see others making poor choices, be it a partner snapping in anger or a colleague missing a deadline, we can view it through the lens of state rather than character. This doesn't excuse the behavior, but it explains the mechanics behind it. By mastering your state, you become the architect of your own willpower. You no longer have to wait for the perfect conditions to take action. Instead, you learn to generate the internal conditions necessary to produce the desired external results. This is the essence of peak performance. It is the ability to consciously enter a resourceful state regardless of the chaos surrounding you, ensuring that your decisions are born from your highest self rather than your lowest impulses. Ultimately, your life is the sum total of your decisions, and your decisions are the sum total of your states. Lesson 2. Physiology is the fastest way to change your state. The most immediate and radical tool Robbins provides for state management is the physiology of excellence. Traditional psychology often suggests that to change how we feel, we must first change how we think, a top-down approach that can be agonizingly slow and difficult when you're in a deep emotional rut. Robbins flips this on its head, advocating for a bottom-up approach. He asserts that the body is the fastest remote control for the brain. There is a biological feedback loop between your muscles and your mind. When you slump your shoulders, drop your head, and take shallow breaths, you are sending a chemical signal to your brain to produce cortisol and feel depressed. You cannot feel truly powerful while physically mimicking a defeated person. Therefore, the first step to any mental breakthrough is a physical shift. By snapping into a power pose, expanding your chest and looking upward, you force a biochemical shift that interrupts the pattern of negativity. This isn't just positive thinking or faking it, it is applied neurochemistry. When you move your body with radical intensity, clapping, shouting, or even just walking with a more purposeful stride, you alter your blood flow and oxygen intake. This physical momentum breaks the trance of lethargy. Robbins often observes that motion creates emotion. If you sit still and try to think your way out of a bad mood, you're likely to just loop the same miserable thoughts. But if you go for a sprint, jump on a trampoline, or take a cold shower, the sheer physical stimulus forces your nervous system to reset. This is why his live events are legendary for their high energy, dancing, and movement. He is conditioning the participants' nervous systems to associate high-energy physical states with high-level learning and decision-making. Mastering your physiology also involves the subtle nuances of facial expressions and breathing patterns. We have dozens of muscles in our faces that are hardwired to our emotional centers. A forced smile, while it may feel fake initially, actually begins to trigger the release of dopamine and serotonin. Similarly, deep diaphragmatic breathing signals the parasympathetic nervous system to calm the fight-or-flight response. By becoming a conscious operator of your physical machine, you gain a level of autonomy that few people ever experience. You realize that you are not a victim of your moods, but a director of your biology. You don't need a reason to feel good. You can simply command your body to adopt the physiology of a person who feels good, and the mind will inevitably follow suit. This is the ultimate life hack for consistency. When your mind says, "I can't," use your body to prove it wrong. Lesson 3. Focus creates your reality. The third pillar of the Robbins philosophy is the law of focus. In any given moment, there are millions of things you could pay attention to. The sensation of your feet on the floor, the distant hum of traffic, a mistake you made 10 years ago, or the potential for a bright future. However, your conscious mind can only process a tiny fraction of this information. What you choose to delete, distort, and generalize determines your entire reality. Robbins famously states, "Where focus goes, energy flows." If you focus on what is missing from your life, you will feel empty, regardless of how much wealth you possess. If you focus on what you cannot control, you will feel anxious. The reality of your life is not what is happening to you, but what you are paying attention to. This means that two people can experience the exact same event, a job loss, for example, and have two completely different realities based solely on their focus. One person focuses on the unfairness and the catastrophe, leading to a state of paralysis. The other focuses on the opportunity to pivot and the lessons learned, leading to a state of resolve. The difference in their outcomes is not a result of luck, but a result of the questions they ask themselves. Robbins teaches that questions are the laser pointer of human focus. If you ask, "Why does this always happen to me?" your brain will dutifully find reasons to make you feel like a victim. If you ask, "How can I use this to grow?" your brain will search for solutions. By consciously choosing your questions, you direct your focus toward empowering meanings. You move from being a passive observer of your thoughts to an active curator of your experience. You begin to understand that your emotional suffering is often just the result of a mismanaged focus rather than an objective reality. Consistency is the key to mastering focus. It is easy to be focused when things are going well, but the hallmark of a leader is the ability to maintain a solution-oriented focus during a crisis. This requires a disciplined mental diet. Just as you wouldn't eat poison and expect to be healthy, you cannot focus on toxic news, gossip, and self-criticism and expect to feel empowered. Robbins encourages individuals to develop a morning ritual or priming routine that directs focus toward gratitude, goals, and strength before the world has a chance to dictate the day's agenda. When you take control of the lens through which you view the world, you realize that you have the power to transform any problem into a challenge. Focus is the bridge between your internal state and your external results. It is the tool that allows you to find the path to victory in a field of apparent defeat. Lesson 4. Emotions are signals, not commands. Many people live in a state of emotional reaction, where they are tossed about by the waves of their feelings. If they feel sad, they act sad. If they feel angry, they lash out. Tony Robbins offers a more sophisticated perspective. Emotions are action signals. They are not meant to be a permanent residence, but a notification system from the subconscious mind. Every negative emotion is actually a message telling you that something in your life requires attention. For instance, fear is a signal that you need to prepare for something. It is not a command to run away. It is a prompt to get ready. Frustration is a signal that you believe you should be doing better than you are, but your current approach isn't working. It's a call to be more flexible. When we stop viewing emotions as enemies and start viewing them as consultants, we gain a profound sense of emotional freedom. The danger lies in emotional indulgence or emotional suppression. Suppressing an emotion is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes immense energy, and eventually it will pop up with violent force. Indulging in an emotion is like getting stuck in a loop. You feel angry, so you think angry thoughts, which makes you feel angrier. Robbins teaches a process of emotional mastery, where you acknowledge the signal, identify the message, and then take the required action. If you feel lonely, the signal is that you need connection. Instead of wallowing in the feeling, you use it as fuel to reach out to a friend. By decoupling the emotion from the identity, saying, "I feel frustrated," instead of "I am frustrated," you create the space necessary to evaluate the signal objectively. You become the master of the message rather than the servant of the mood. This shift in perspective transforms your relationship with discomfort. Instead of fearing pain, you begin to see it as a valuable feedback mechanism. Much like physical pain tells you to move your hand off a hot stove, emotional pain tells you to move your mind or your actions toward a more productive path. This is especially true for stress. Robbins argues that stress is often just a code word for fear. When we label it as stress, we feel like a busy, important person. When we label it as fear, we are forced to deal with the underlying insecurity. By getting honest about what our emotions are signaling, we can resolve the conflict at its source. This mastery allows you to navigate life with a sense of calm under fire. You recognize that the storm of emotion is temporary, but the captain of the ship, your conscious self, remains in control, using the wind of those emotions to steer toward the desired destination. Lesson 5. Identity locks in your state. The ultimate governor of human behavior is identity. Robbins frequently points out that the strongest force in the human personality is the need to remain consistent with how we define ourselves. If you define yourself as a smoker, you will always find a way to return to cigarettes, even if you quit for a while. If you define yourself as someone who isn't good with money, you will unconsciously sabotage your bank account to match that internal image. Your identity acts as a thermostat for your life. If your life starts getting too good and exceeds your identity's setting, you will unconsciously find a way to bring it back down to where you feel comfortable. Lasting change, therefore, cannot happen at the level of doing. It must happen at the level of being. You don't just do different things, you become a different person. Expanding your identity is the process of raising your standards. Most people live by their shoulds. I should lose weight, I should work harder. But people don't do their shoulds, they do their musts. When something becomes a part of your identity, it becomes a must. A person who identifies as an athlete doesn't have to debate whether or not to go to the gym. It is simply who they are. To shift your state permanently, you must shift the labels you wrap around yourself. This is done through incantations and repetitive conditioning. By declaring who you are with emotional intensity and physical engagement, you begin to rewire your self-concept. You move from saying, "I'm trying to be confident," to, "I am a force for God, nature, and I am unstoppable." This isn't arrogance, it is a conscious choice of a functional identity that serves your highest goals. This final lesson ties all the previous ones together. Your state is the daily expression of your identity. Your physiology and focus are the tools you use to maintain that identity, and your emotions are the guards that tell you when you are drifting away from who you truly are. When you decide to redefine yourself, to expand the boundaries of what you believe is possible for you, your entire nervous system aligns to support that new reality. You begin to notice opportunities you were blind to before. You find energy you didn't know you had. The transition from a limited identity to an empowered one is the most significant leap a human being can take. It is the difference between a life of quiet desperation and a life of extraordinary contribution. As Robbins says, we act in accordance with who we think we are. If you want to change your life, start by changing the story of who you are. Your life doesn't change when circumstances change. It changes when you change. And the fastest way to change your life is to change your state. Control your body, control your focus, control your emotions. Do this consistently, and you won't just feel better, you'll live better. If this message resonated with you, remember, the power to change your life is already inside you. Activate it, starting now.